DEMEKING the sea monster, which is already false advertising since it comes from space, not the sea, but whatever. So DEMEKING originated as a manga back in 1991 by Takashi Imashiro, and this isn't the first time it was adapted into a movie. Apparently back in 1998, according to the book Kaiju for Hipsters, so I didn't make this shit up, it was turned into a porno called, Molester Train, Ass of Ben 10. No, not the ass of that Ben 10. A brief Google search brought up a Japanese Buddhist goddess called Benzaiten, or Goddess of Eloquence. The fuck that has to do with molesters and asses, I haven't got a goddamn clue. This was a really weird rabbit hole to fall into just for a movie review. But hey, knowledge, right? Now, in order to properly get my point across, I'm gonna have to spoil the absolute hell out of DEMEKING. And honestly, I feel like that's fair, because they advertise this movie like it's a kaiju-centric movie. The cover art has the monster on it. It's literally called DEMEKING the sea monster. I mean, you'd be perfectly excused going into this expecting a tokusatsu movie. But guess what? It's not a tokusatsu movie. The movie kicks off with this dude just sitting at the beach, all depressed, eating his bento box. And you know what? I think we've all been there. Almost time for work, staring out into the sea, just asking yourself, do you really need that paycheck? Do you really need it? Or is wandering out into the open ocean and just getting lost forever? Is that the better alternative? Because sometimes it feels like the better alternative. Anyway, this dude's name is Koichi Hashie. It's kind of important. Our other main character is Hiroshi, who's this weirdly sweaty older dude who hangs out with younger kids, and it's kind of creepy, a little bit. He's supposed to be a teen, but, I mean, the guy looks 30, so I don't know. Anyway, they both live in this small coastal town that's apparently boring as all hell, and none of them ever have anything to do besides, I mean, stare at children in silence while handing them stuff and just kind of dicking around. One day, out of boredom, Hiroshi and his gang of minions break into a boat that's just loaded with weapons, which turns out to belong to Hashie, because he's preparing to do battle with a monster called DEMEKING that's supposed to appear in the future. Hashie decides to send the group of boys on a treasure hunt, because reasons. I don't know. It's like a half hour of the most pointless shit I've ever seen. They just go from place to place, finding clues like a boring version of the Goonies or something. They ride bikes. They ride bikes more, with music way too intense for just going up a hill. Then they ride bikes more, but this time in garbage bags. All to ultimately lead to them finding a big sign that Hashie made that shows DEMEKING's footprint, I guess, and the date of 2019, which is apparently when it's supposed to arrive. Now keep in mind this movie's set in the 70s, and as many of us would do, after wasting days of our lives treasure hunting for a stupid sign, Hiroshi goes and drinks his sorrows away, and finally, an hour and 10 minutes into the movie, it should be of no surprise to anyone that DEMEKING's arrival is the highlight of the movie. They knew that. That's why the movie's called fucking DEMEKING. After a really cool scale shot of the meteor like flying over a power plant, it breaks open and the monster's unleashed. And he kind of looks like what would happen if that Pokemon Shuckle, which is a real gross name, had a weird sex baby with Namigon. I think that's how you pronounce it, that weird slug thing from Ultra Q. The effects work here was done by Tsuyoshi Kazuno, and is really solid, especially for an indie movie, but considering he also worked on multiple Godzilla movies, Ultraman Saga, Kamen Rider, and arguably his greatest claim to fame, the Big Tits Dragon, I'm really not surprised. But guess what? The whole sequence lasts maybe 10 minutes, and in the end, it was all a goddamn dream. I hate that, man. That's one of my biggest pet peeves in like any movie. Nothing kills a movie's impact more than when you pull shit like that. From there, the movie just kind of peters out into them growing up, getting jobs, and basically living the same mundane lives that the rest of us live. Oh boy, yay. Maybe he really was seeing in the future. Maybe it really was a prophecy that he had. I don't know, you never see it, so I don't care. This movie reminds me a lot of Always Sunset on 3rd Street 2. Has anybody seen that? It starts off with probably one of the most impressive Japanese Godzilla sequences ever shot, only for it to be a dream and have absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the movie. But unlike Always 2, which didn't sell itself as a Godzilla movie, DEMEKING sells itself as a monster movie, which it barely qualifies as. If you saw this on a shelf, you'd buy it for that reason. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Some of the scenery's nice, and I mean obviously the DEMEKING sequence is dope as hell, but the rest, it's basically Stand By Me, without any of the great writing, without any of the great characters, or any of the charm. And I'm not saying that like every kaiju movie just needs tons of monster action to be good, but when you're selling me on that movie, then give me the good shit, man. Come on.